Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're tackling the ultimate cold case, the origin of life itself. I'm talking about one of science's greatest unsolved mysteries, and we are going to follow the clues wherever they lead.
So let's just dive right in. This single question, where did we come from? It's something we've been asking for thousands of years. We're going to explore all the evidence, from the most mainstream ideas to some theories that are, well, truly mind-bending.
You know, the British astrobiologist Paul Davies absolutely nailed it. He said, the emergence of life is one of the greatest mysteries of science. And that's because this isn't just about biology or chemistry. It's a deep, fundamental question about who we are. It really sets the stage for our whole investigation.
Okay, so every good investigation starts close to home, right? So we're beginning our search right here on planet Earth. The first set of theories suggests that life is a homegrown phenomenon, that the crime scene and the origin story are basically the same place.
For a long time, one of the main explanations for life was this idea called spontaneous generation. Basically, people thought life could just appear out of non-living stuff. Of course, modern science has a very different story, a much more complex and, frankly, way more fascinating one about intricate chemical processes playing out over billions of years.
And you won't believe how creative some of those old ideas were. Seriously, there was this 17th century scientist, John Helmont, who had a literal recipe for creating mice. He was convinced all you needed was a dirty shirt, some wheat, and the secret ingredient, human sweat. Yeah, thankfully, we've moved on a bit since then.
The modern story starts with a planet you wouldn't even recognize. Picture this. 4.5 billion years ago, Earth was just a molten ball of rock getting pummeled by asteroids. But as things calmed down, it started to cool, a crust formed, and then came this amazing cosmic delivery of water from comets and asteroids. And just like that, a barren rock turned into a blue, watery world, the perfect stage for life to begin.
Okay, so how did life actually kick off? Well, one of the big theories is the whole primordial soup idea. You have these oceans filled with chemicals like ammonia and methane, and then zap, a lightning strike provides a jolt of energy. That spark forged the very first simple organic molecules, the literal building blocks for every living thing, from bacteria all the way to us.
But hang on. Going from simple molecules to something as complex as a giraffe? That's a huge leap. How on earth did that happen? Well, one early idea from Jean-Baptiste Lamarck was that giraffes got long necks because they kept stretching for leaves, and then they passed that stretched neck on to their kids. But a guy named Charles Darwin came along with a much more powerful idea.
See, Darwin's theory is this beautiful four-step process. First, you have overproduction. Way more babies are born than can possibly survive. Second, all those babies have tiny, random variations. Third, they all have to compete to survive. And fourth, selection. The ones with the traits that just happen to be useful are the ones that live long enough to pass those traits on. It's not about wanting it, it's about randomly having what it takes to survive. So that's the case for life starting right here at home. But what if that's not the whole story? What if we need to expand our search? What if life was actually an outside job and the first clues came from deep space? This brings us to a really cool theory called panspermia. The basic idea is that life didn't actually start on Earth at all. Instead, it was delivered here from somewhere else in the cosmos, hitching a ride on an asteroid or a comet that crashed into our young planet.
So how would this cosmic delivery service even work? Well, imagine a planet that already has simple life, like microbes. A giant asteroid hits it, blasting rocks into space. Tucked away inside those rocks, some microbes could actually survive the journey through space for millions of years, protected from the radiation. And if that rock eventually crashes on a new habitable planet, boom, you've just seeded life. And here's the thing, this isn't just science fiction. We are finding the building blocks of life, like sugars and amino acids, floating around in giant gas clouds between the stars. Get this, one molecule they found, ethyl formate, is the same one that gives raspberries their smell.
The universe literally smells like fruit.
But if you want one killer piece of evidence, look no further than the Murchison meteorite. It fell in Australia, and when scientists studied it, they found over 80 different types of amino acids inside. Now think about this. All life on our entire planet is built from just 20. So where did all those extra ones come from? It's a huge clue.
All right, we've looked at the mainstream suspects. Now, every great detective story has a few wild cards, right? The fringe theories. So let's step away from the usual suspects and dive into some of the most mind-blowing possibilities out there.
Okay, so this is where things get really, really weird. I mean, buckle up. Have you ever heard of the simulation hypothesis? It asks a pretty radical question. What if our entire reality, the planet, the stars, you, me, everything, is just a super advanced computer program? What if we're all just living inside a giant video game?
Now, proponents like Elon Musk make a case for this that's actually based on simple statistics. The argument goes like this. If any civilization anywhere ever gets advanced enough to create a simulation that's indistinguishable from reality, they probably wouldn't make just one. They'd make billions. So statistically, the odds are that we're in one of the simulations, not the one original base reality.
And look, whether we're in a simulation or not, it brings up another huge question. If there are advanced civilizations out there, why is space so quiet? Where's everybody? Well, there are two really compelling theories. One is the zoo hypothesis, which says they're watching us, but leaving us alone on purpose, like we're in a cosmic nature preserve. The other, much darker idea, is the dark forest hypothesis, that space is incredibly dangerous, and the smartest thing to do is hide and stay absolutely silent so you don't attract predators. So, after looking at clues from Earth, from space, and from the very edges of philosophy, what's the verdict? Where do we stand in this investigation? Well, the simple truth is, this case is still very much wide open. Let's just review our main suspects one more time. We have the homegrown theory, life cooked up right here on Earth in a primordial soup and shaped by evolution. We have the cosmic seeding theory, life is an alien import delivered by meteorite. And then we have the digital creation theory, the idea that none of this is real and we're living in a simulation. Each one has its clues and each one has its mysteries.
Ultimately, this whole investigation, this search for our origins, it's really a search for our place in the universe. And that leaves us with one last, really big thought. No matter which of these theories turns out to be right, or even if it's something we haven't thought of yet, the day we finally find the answer, that's the day our understanding of absolutely everything will change forever.